Right now, somewhere in the world, a salesperson just opened their laptop and logged into a piece of software. They will spend more time inside this software today than they will spend talking to their own family. Their company pays up to $500,000 a year for the privilege, and when their boss asks why they can't just switch to something cheaper, the answer is always the same. We can't. We're locked in. This is the story of a company that rewrote the rules of the software industry, built one of the most profitable monopolies in business history, and almost nobody outside of a corporate office has ever heard its name. This is Salesforce. To understand Salesforce, you have to understand Oracle. In the 1980s, Oracle was the dominant force in enterprise software. Databases, the unsexy, invisible technology that let banks track your account, let hospitals track your records, let retailers track every unit of inventory they ever moved. Oracle made billions because once a company built their entire operation on top of your database, they could never leave. Running Oracle was Larry Ellison, brilliant, ruthless, and obsessed with winning. He drove Ferraris and bought fighter jets. He did not lose. Ever. In 1986, a 22-year-old kid from New York joined Oracle as a sales rep. His name was Marc Benioff. Benioff was good, exceptionally good. Within 2 years, he was Oracle's youngest vice president. Ellison mentored him personally, took him on yachts, brought him into the inner circle. For 13 years, Benioff watched how Ellison built a software empire. The pricing strategies, the lock-in mechanics, the way enterprise companies, once inside the Oracle ecosystem, could never escape. He learned everything. And then, in 1999, he quit. Benioff rented a one-bedroom apartment on Telegraph Hill in San Francisco. He had a sofa, a laptop, and one idea that he was convinced would change the entire software industry. At the time, enterprise software worked like this. A company decided they needed CRM software, customer relationship management, software to track every customer contact, every sales call, every deal in the pipeline. They would pay a vendor, like Siebel Systems, the market leader at the time, hundreds of thousands of dollars up front. Then they would spend months, sometimes years, installing it across their servers, training their staff, customizing it, debugging it. By the time it actually worked, the technology was already outdated. Benioff's idea was brutal in its simplicity. What if the software lived in the cloud, on the internet, and you just logged in with a browser? No CD, no installation, no servers, no IT department, just a monthly subscription fee and a login. He called it Software as a Service, SaaS. The entire industry laughed at him. Enterprise companies would never trust their customer data to some website. It was a toy idea, a startup fantasy. Benioff started building anyway. Siebel Systems was the king of CRM in 2000. Tom Siebel had built a company worth billions. Every major corporation used Siebel. It was the safe choice, the enterprise choice. Marc Benioff decided to attack it directly, but not in any way Siebel could have predicted. In the early 2000s, Siebel was hosting one of its biggest customer conferences. Thousands of enterprise buyers, IT managers, and executives streaming into the venue. Outside on the pavement, a protest. Signs reading, "No more software," chants, picket lines, news cameras. Except the protesters were not real protesters. They were actors, hired by Marc Benioff, carrying signs that Benioff's marketing team had designed, chanting slogans that Benioff's team had written. The entire thing was a staged media stunt. And it worked perfectly. The "no software" image, a CD with a red line through it, like a no smoking sign, became Salesforce's logo. It ran on every billboard, every conference banner, every trade publication. It was guerrilla marketing before the term existed in tech, and it put Salesforce on the map with exactly the audience they needed. Enterprise buyers who were already frustrated with how painful traditional software was to install and maintain. The media covered it, the executives noticed it. The message was clear. The old way of doing software is broken. We are the alternative. Here's what Salesforce actually does and why companies cannot stop paying for it. Every company that sells something needs to track its customers, who they talked to, what was discussed, what the customer bought, what they might buy next, what complaints they've logged, which deals are in negotiation right now. Before Salesforce, that information lived in spreadsheets, in email chains, in the heads of individual salespeople. When the salesperson left, the data left. Salesforce replaced all of that with one system. Every customer interaction, every call, every contract, every complaint, in one place, accessible from any device, in real time. For a sales manager, it was like getting X-ray vision into their entire operation. And here's where the trap, or depending on how you look at it, the genius, begins. The moment a company starts using Salesforce, they start pouring data into it. Every customer, every deal, every note from every call made over years and years. After 18 months, that data is irreplaceable. Moving it to another system is not just expensive, it's terrifying. Data migration risks, staff retraining costs, months of disruption. The possibility that something critical gets lost in the transfer. So companies don't leave. Salesforce knows this. Their pricing reflects it. Small businesses might pay a few $1,000s a year. Mid-size companies pay tens of thousands of dollars. Enterprise accounts, the Fortune 500 customers, routinely pay between $75,000 and $500,000 every single year. And those contracts renew and renew and renew. Benioff didn't stop at CRM. Once Salesforce had the core customer relationship data, he started building an empire around it. Marketing Cloud, Service Cloud, Commerce Cloud, analytics tools, AI tools, integration tools, each one designed to attach to the core platform, each one making the switching costs higher, each one making Salesforce more essential to how a company runs. And then, in 2021, Benioff made the biggest bet of his career. He bought Slack for $27.7 billion. At the time, it was one of the largest software acquisitions in history. Critics called it overpriced. Wall Street was skeptical. Benioff's logic was simple. Slack is where work happens. Salesforce is where customer data lives. Put them together, and every conversation, every deal update, every customer alert flows through one ecosystem. The goal was not just to own CRM, the goal was to own the entire workflow of a modern business. Today, Salesforce's headquarters is the tallest building in San Francisco. The Salesforce Tower rises above every other structure in the city, a physical monument to a company that started in a one-bedroom apartment 25 years ago. 150,000 customers, companies including Amazon, Toyota, T-Mobile, American Express, $36 billion in annual revenue, over 75,000 employees. And the man who built it still shows up to conferences in Hawaiian shirts. Because Marc Benioff learned something from his 13 years under Ellison. The most valuable position in business isn't the one everyone is fighting over. It's the one nobody notices until it's too late to compete. So why does any of this matter if you're not a salesperson or a business executive? 3 reasons. First, every time you interact with a company's customer service team or receive a marketing email or get a sales call, there's a very high probability the person on the other end is looking at your data inside Salesforce, your purchase history, your complaints, your estimated lifetime value as a customer. Salesforce knows more about your relationship with major brands than you probably do. Second, the SaaS model that Salesforce pioneered is now how almost every software company operates. Spotify, Netflix, Adobe, Microsoft 365. Every subscription you pay monthly exists because Benioff proved in 1999 that people would pay ongoing fees for software they don't own. Third, the lesson of Salesforce is the same lesson as every company we cover on this channel. The most valuable businesses in the world aren't always the ones you see. They're the ones underneath, the invisible infrastructure. The software never appears in headlines, but that the entire economy quietly depends on. Salesforce is not a household name, but it's one of the most powerful companies on Earth. And now you know why. If you want to understand the next invisible empire, the software running the global banking system that processes trillions of dollars every single day, that video is right here. Subscribe if this is the kind of story you want more of. I'll see you in the next one.